Welcome to Unsolved Historical Mysteries. Dragon Bones? The intersection of ancient Chinese myths and reality. Main heading 1. The origins of dragon legends. Subheading 1. The symbolism of dragons in Chinese mythology. Dragons occupy a unique and central role in Chinese mythology, reflecting the culture's deep connection with nature, spirituality, and governance. Unlike the fearsome and destructive creatures often depicted in Western myths, Chinese dragons are revered as wise, powerful, and benevolent beings. Their symbolism stretches across millennia, shaping both ancient and modern Chinese society. In early Chinese myths, dragons were described as rulers of water, controlling rain, rivers, lakes, and seas. They were considered bringers of life, as their ability to summon rain ensured the prosperity of crops and the survival of communities. In a time when agriculture was the backbone of civilization, the dragon's favor was crucial. Ancient farmers would hold ceremonies to honor dragons, offering food and prayers to secure their assistance in times of drought. This made dragons synonymous with abundance, fertility, and renewal, weaving them into the very fabric of daily life. Beyond agriculture, dragons became symbols of cosmic power and divine authority. The Chinese emperor, regarded as the son of heaven, was often compared to a dragon. Imperial robes were adorned with intricate dragon motifs, and the creature itself became a representation of ultimate sovereignty and governance. It wasn't merely a mythical animal, it was a sign of the emperor's mandate to rule, tying celestial order to earthly power. The dragon's long, serpentine body and its ability to traverse land, air, and water made it a universal symbol of harmony and balance. In traditional art and literature, dragons are often depicted with other auspicious symbols, such as clouds, pearls, and phoenixes, further emphasizing their association with prosperity and enlightenment. Their imagery frequently adorned temples, palaces, and even everyday items like ceramics and textiles. The dragon's connection to yin and yang, a foundational concept in Chinese philosophy, also underscored its dual nature as both a protector and a force to be respected. One of the most enduring representations of the dragon in Chinese culture is seen during the Lunar New Year. The famous dragon dance is performed to drive away evil spirits and bring good fortune. Performers hold up a long, brightly colored dragon puppet, mimicking its flowing, serpentine movements while drums and gongs resonate. This celebration not only honors the dragon's protective qualities, but also reminds participants of its central role in Chinese heritage. In modern China, the dragon remains a symbol of national identity and pride. It is often referred to as the Dragon of the East, representing the strength, resilience, and unity of the Chinese people. Even in the digital age, the dragon's mystique endures, appearing in movies, literature, and even as mascots for international events. Its timeless appeal speaks to the depth of its cultural significance, bridging ancient traditions with contemporary expressions of identity. From the rice paddies of ancient China to the skyscrapers of modern cities, the dragon has maintained its place as a cultural and spiritual cornerstone. Its symbolism, deeply intertwined with Chinese values and beliefs, continues to inspire awe and reverence, making it one of the most enduring icons in human history. Subheading 2. Connections between dragons and ancient civilizations. Throughout history, the idea of dragons has appeared in the myths and legends of numerous ancient civilizations, each offering unique interpretations while sharing remarkable similarities. This widespread presence raises the question: how did such a consistent image of dragons emerge across cultures, separated by vast distances and time periods? In Mesopotamian mythology, one of the earliest known dragon-like figures is Tiamat, a primordial sea goddess depicted as a serpentine monster. Tiamat represented chaos and destruction but also creation, as her defeat by the god Marduk led to the formation of the heavens and earth. Similarly, in Indian mythology, the Naga are serpent-like beings that inhabit rivers, lakes, and underground palaces. Unlike the purely benevolent dragons of Chinese lore, the Naga could be both protectors and adversaries, symbolizing the dual nature of life and death. In ancient Greece, dragons were often associated with guarding treasures or sacred places. For example, the myth of the Colchian dragon involves a serpentine creature that protected the Golden Fleece. These dragons were typically depicted as fierce and untamable, embodying the challenges that heroes needed to overcome to achieve greatness. Interestingly, Native American traditions also include serpent-like creatures, such as the horned serpent of the Great Lakes region. This creature was believed to possess immense power, and was both revered and feared. Similarly, the Australian Aboriginal rainbow serpent is a mythical being that represents creation and fertility, echoing the life-giving qualities associated with Chinese dragons. What ties these myths together? Some scholars suggest that the discovery of large, mysterious fossils could have influenced early humans' imaginations. Massive bones and skulls, likely belonging to prehistoric creatures, such as dinosaurs or large mammals, may have been interpreted as evidence of dragons or other mythical beasts. In regions like China, where such fossils were abundant, these discoveries might have been directly linked to the creation of dragon legends. Another theory points to humanity's shared relationship with nature and the forces that shape life. Whether it was the need for rain, protection from predators, or an explanation for natural disasters, dragons and similar creatures became symbols of power and mystery. They offered a way to personify and understand the uncontrollable elements of the natural world. Despite their differences, the dragons of various cultures share a common thread. They are larger-than-life figures that embody both fear and fascination. Whether guarding treasures, controlling water, or symbolizing cosmic balance, these mythical creatures reveal humanity's universal need to connect with the unknown. Subheading 3. Why dragon worship spread across ancient China. The widespread veneration of dragons in ancient China was deeply rooted in the agricultural and social structures of the time. As an agrarian society, the survival of early Chinese communities depended on the success of their crops, which in turn relied on water. Dragons, believed to control rain, rivers, and even the seas, became central figures in the spiritual lives of these communities. Their ability to govern water made them symbols of life and prosperity, ensuring their place as objects of worship. One of the most significant reasons for dragon worship was the unpredictable nature of weather in ancient China. Droughts or floods could devastate entire regions, threatening the livelihoods of countless people. To maintain harmony with nature, villagers performed rituals to honor dragons, often led by local shamans or elders. Offerings of food, incense, and prayers were common, as these acts were believed to appease the dragons and encourage them to bring favorable weather. Over time, this reverence evolved into an institutionalized form of worship, with dragons becoming key symbols of power and order. As Chinese civilization expanded and centralized under imperial rule, the dragon's image was adopted by emperors to solidify their divine authority. The emperor, known as the Son of Heaven, was seen as the earthly representative of celestial order, and the dragon became his emblem. Imperial palaces, thrones and robes were adorned with dragon motifs, symbolizing the ruler's control over both nature and the people. Dragon worship also spread through cultural festivals and storytelling. Myths and legends featuring dragons were passed down through generations, reinforcing their status as protectors and providers. These stories often emphasized the dragon's dual nature. While benevolent and life-giving, they could also be fearsome if disrespected. This duality made dragons figures of both admiration and caution, further embedding their significance in everyday life. The integration of dragon worship into Chinese culture was so profound that it transcended class boundaries, from farmers praying for rain to emperors invoking their divine mandate. Dragons were universally revered. Even today, their legacy can be seen in traditional practices such as dragon boat festivals, which celebrate their power and bring communities together. In summary, the spread of dragon worship in ancient China was driven by the practical need to secure agricultural success, the consolidation of imperial power, and the cultural storytelling that connected people to their mythical heritage. Dragons became a unifying force, representing both the fragility of human life and the strength needed to thrive. Main heading 2. The discovery of dragon bones. Subheading 1. The first fossil finds and their mysteries. In the early 20th century, rural communities in China stumbled upon peculiar fossils while digging in the earth. These enormous bones, unlike anything seen before, were often identified by villagers as dragon bones. At the time, the prevailing belief was that these remnants belonged to the mythical creatures described in Chinese legends. The connection was logical. After all, dragons had long been depicted as massive, serpentine beings with extraordinary power. These so-called dragon bones became an integral part of local medicine and spiritual practices. Villagers would grind the fossils into powder, believing they held powerful medicinal properties capable of curing illnesses and enhancing vitality. This practice continued for centuries, reinforcing the association between the fossils and the mythological creatures of Chinese lore. However, as the study of paleontology emerged in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, scientists began to question the true origins of these fossils. Western explorers and Chinese researchers alike started investigating these dragon bones, eventually recognizing their striking resemblance to the remains of prehistoric creatures. Fossils of massive dinosaurs, such as sauropods and theropods, were identified in regions where the dragon legends were strongest. One of the most famous discoveries occurred in Henan province, where fossils resembling large jaws and vertebrae were unearthed. Villagers initially offered these remains to local temples as offerings, but they soon drew the attention of scientists. These fossils represented some of the earliest evidence of dinosaurs in Asia, leading to groundbreaking studies on the relationship between ancient myths and prehistoric life. The discovery of these fossils not only provided a scientific explanation for the dragon bones, but also bridged the gap between mythology and reality. It became clear that ancient peoples, encountering these massive relics, might have been inspired to create the legends of dragons. The fossils' mysterious shapes and extraordinary size gave life to the stories that would be passed down through generations, evolving into the powerful dragon myths we know today. These findings laid the foundation for a fascinating question: how much of what we call mythology is rooted in early interpretations of the natural world? The discovery of dragon bones blurred the line between fact and fiction, leaving us to wonder just how much of our ancestors' imaginations were sparked by the wonders buried beneath their feet. Subheading 2. Local legends surrounding the bones. Long before the scientific study of fossils began, Rural communities in China had their own interpretations of the mysterious bones unearthed in their lands. These large and unusual remains were seamlessly woven into the fabric of local folklore, becoming central to stories and legends that spanned generations. In many villages, these bones were believed to be physical evidence of dragons, creatures that held both divine and mystical significance in Chinese culture. The discovery of these bones often coincided with significant events, such as floods or droughts, leading villagers to see them as omens. For instance, in regions where rivers overflowed and disrupted lives, the appearance of dragon bones was interpreted as a sign of the dragon's displeasure. Rituals would then be conducted to appease these mythical creatures, with the bones being offered back to the earth or placed in temples as sacred artifacts. These practices reinforced the belief that dragons were not just mythical beings, but real entities that influenced the natural world. In some cases, the bones were thought to possess magical properties. Stories abounded of farmers finding a dragon's skull or claws and experiencing good fortune afterward, such as a bountiful harvest or an end to a prolonged drought. These tales encouraged the collection and preservation of fossils. Even if their true origins were unknown, villagers would often display these bones in their homes or communal spaces, treating them as protective charms that could ward off evil spirits. Local storytellers played a crucial role in keeping these legends alive. They described dragons as living deep in the mountains or beneath rivers, guarding treasures or controlling the weather. The discovery of a fossil in such areas was seen as evidence that a dragon had once lived there. Over time, these narratives became deeply ingrained in local traditions, with each community adding its unique flair to the dragon stories. Despite the arrival of modern science and paleontology, many rural communities have held onto these beliefs. Even today, some villagers continue to view fossils as remnants of dragons rather than extinct animals, reflecting the enduring power of myth to shape perceptions of the world. This blend of legend and reality highlights humanity's innate need to make sense of the unknown and connect with something greater than ourselves. The local legends surrounding these bones remind us that mythology often serves as a bridge between human understanding and the mysteries of nature. These stories, while fantastical, offer valuable insights into how ancient cultures interpreted the world around them, and gave life to one of history's most enduring creatures, the dragon. Subheading 3. Scientific debates about the identity of the fossils. When scientists first began studying the so-called dragon bones in the early 20th century, the discoveries sparked widespread fascination and intense debate. Fossils that had been regarded as mythical relics for centuries were now being scrutinized under the lens of paleontology. As researchers unearthed more specimens, they began piecing together the story of these massive remains. However, questions about their origins and implications sparked lively discussions in both academic circles and the general public. One of the earliest and most controversial debates centered around whether these fossils were evidence of previously unknown species. In regions like Henan and Sichuan, paleontologists discovered bones of staggering size, including skull fragments, vertebrae, and teeth. Many initially speculated that these belonged to extinct reptiles, but the lack of complete skeletons made definitive identification challenging. Some argued that the fossils could belong to prehistoric mammals, while others insisted they were remnants of dinosaurs. The discovery of large sauropod fossils in the 1920s helped to solidify the dinosaur connection. These creatures, with their long necks and massive frames, bore striking similarities to the dragons depicted in Chinese art and mythology. The possibility that ancient people had encountered these fossils and woven them into their legends seemed increasingly plausible. However, skeptics pointed out that some fossilized remains did not fit the dinosaur profile, leaving room for alternative theories. Another point of contention was the extent to which these fossils influenced Chinese dragon myths. Some scientists proposed that the legends of dragons predated fossil discoveries and were purely imaginative, rooted in humanity's fascination with serpents and other powerful animals. Others countered that the detailed descriptions of dragons, including their enormous size and ability to control water, aligned too closely with the characteristics of the unearthed bones to be a coincidence. The debate also touched on the broader question of how myths and science intersect. Could fossils be considered a direct inspiration for dragon legends? Or were they merely a convenient explanation for stories that already existed? Some researchers pointed to similar myths in other cultures, such as griffins in Greek mythology, which might have been inspired by fossilized remains of prehistoric creatures. This suggested a universal pattern: ancient people encountering fossils and interpreting them through the lens of their cultural beliefs. Despite differing opinions, the study of these fossils had a transformative impact. It not only advanced paleontology in China, but also sparked greater interest in the connection between mythology and natural history. Modern scientists continue to examine fossils, with an eye toward understanding their influence on human imagination. The debates may not have yielded a definitive answer, but they underscore the fascinating interplay between science and myth, a dialogue that continues to evolve as new discoveries emerge. Main Heading 3: The Link Between Dragon Myths and Paleontology. Subheading 1: How dinosaur fossils might have inspired dragon legends. The discovery of dinosaur fossils in ancient China likely played a significant role in shaping the myths of dragons. Massive bones unearthed in regions like Sichuan and Gansu would have been unlike anything people had seen before, sparking curiosity and wonder. To ancient farmers and villagers, the size and structure of these fossils might have seemed otherworldly, leading to the natural assumption that they belonged to legendary creatures like dragons. One striking example is the similarity between certain dinosaur species and traditional depictions of dragons. Sauropods, with their long necks and tails, resemble the serpentine form, often attributed to Chinese dragons. Similarly, the large claws and teeth found among theropod fossils could easily align with the ferocious attributes of mythical dragons. These physical parallels suggest that ancient people used fossils as visual evidence to validate and expand upon their legends. The regions where these fossils were most commonly found also align with the areas where dragon myths were strongest. In northern and central China, where dinosaur remains were frequently uncovered, local stories about dragons proliferated. These legends often described dragons as guardians of the land, protectors of rivers, or bringers of rain, roles that tied the creatures to the natural world and its mysteries. Another factor that might have fueled these myths was the lack of scientific understanding at the time. Without knowledge of extinction or prehistoric life, the discovery of a massive skull or bone would have been interpreted in the context of existing beliefs. To a culture already rich with dragon symbolism, fossils would have seemed like tangible proof that these powerful beings once roamed the earth. Interestingly, the association between fossils and mythical creatures isn't unique to China. In ancient Greece, large bones were often attributed to the heroes and monsters of mythology, such as the Cyclops. Similarly, in Central Asia, fossilized remains of Protoceratops may have inspired the legend of the griffin. These examples suggest that the human tendency to connect fossils with mythical creatures is a universal phenomenon. Modern paleontology has shed light on these connections, helping to bridge the gap between myth and reality. While dragons as described in myths may not have existed, the fossils that inspired their legends are a testament to the wonders of Earth's prehistoric past. They remind us that mythology and science are not opposing forces, but complementary ways of exploring the mysteries of the world. Subheading 2: Ancient interpretations of fossils. Before the advent of modern science, ancient people across the world encountered fossils and interpreted them in ways that aligned with their cultural and spiritual beliefs. In China, the discovery of large, mysterious bones often led to stories of dragons, powerful, benevolent creatures believed to govern water and weather. These interpretations not only fueled the mythology of dragons, but also shaped how ancient Chinese societies viewed the natural world. When villagers unearthed a massive femur or a tooth, they naturally turned to their mythological framework to make sense of it. Lacking a scientific explanation for the existence of such enormous remains, they attributed the bones to creatures that already held a prominent place in their imaginations. In the Chinese context, the dragon was the perfect candidate, a symbol of strength, wisdom, and connection to nature. Fossils found near rivers or mountains were often linked to stories of dragons dwelling in those places, guarding treasures or influencing weather patterns. Beyond their mythological significance, these fossils were sometimes seen as gifts or messages from the divine. People believed that finding a dragon bone brought good fortune or served as a sign of divine favor. Such discoveries often became focal points for community rituals or offerings, further embedding the fossils into local traditions. For instance, temples in fossil-rich areas would sometimes house these relics as sacred artifacts, offering villagers a tangible connection to their spiritual beliefs. Interestingly, the interpretation of fossils as remnants of mythical creatures was not unique to China. In ancient Greece, fossils of large mammals and dinosaurs were often thought to belong to giants or monsters from mythology, such as the Cyclops or Titans. Similarly, in Central Asia, fossils of the Protoceratops, a small dinosaur with a beak-like face, may have inspired legends of the griffin, a creature described as part lion and part eagle. These interpretations highlight a universal human tendency to use mythology as a framework for understanding the unknown. Ancient Chinese interpretations of fossils, however, were particularly enduring due to the cultural significance of dragons. While other civilizations moved away from associating fossils with myths, as science progressed, the dragon's role in Chinese culture ensured that these connections remained strong. Even today, the discovery of a large fossil in rural China might still be described by some as finding a dragon bone. These ancient interpretations reveal a profound truth about humanity: the drive to explain the unknown as a universal aspect of human nature. By connecting fossils to dragons, ancient Chinese communities were not only making sense of their discoveries, but also reinforcing the importance of myth in their understanding of the world. Subheading 3: Similar legends in other ancient cultures. The idea of dragon-like creatures isn't unique to China. Across the world, ancient civilizations developed their own myths about powerful, serpent-like beings, often sharing remarkable similarities despite their geographic separation. These parallel legends raise fascinating questions about the shared human experience and the possible influence of fossil discoveries on mythology. In Mesopotamia, one of the earliest known dragon figures was Tiamat, a primordial sea goddess who represented chaos and creation. depicted as a serpentine monster. Tiamat played a central role in the Babylonian creation myth, where she was defeated by the god Marduk to form the heavens and the earth. Similarly, in Hindu mythology, the Naga were serpent-like beings associated with water and fertility. These creatures could be benevolent or destructive, much like the dual nature of dragons in Chinese culture. In ancient Greece, dragon-like creatures often guarded treasures or sacred sites. The Colchian dragon, for example, was a serpentine guardian of the Golden Fleece, while the Hydra was a multi-headed serpent defeated by Hercules. These creatures symbolized challenges that heroes had to overcome, often embodying chaos or danger. Fossils found in Greece and its surrounding regions likely inspired some of these stories, providing tangible evidence for their existence. The Americas also had their own serpent legends. The horned serpent, found in Native American mythology, was believed to inhabit rivers and lakes, often associated with rain and fertility. Similarly, the Aztecs worshipped Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent deity symbolizing wind and knowledge. These creatures, like the dragons of China, were often linked to water and the life-giving forces of nature. One of the most striking examples of fossil-inspired mythology comes from Central Asia. The Protoceratops, a dinosaur with a bird-like beak, was likely the basis for the griffin, a creature described as having the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. Fossilized skeletons of Protoceratops were often found in areas where Greek traders traveled, suggesting a direct link between fossil discoveries and the griffin legend. These similarities suggest that myths about dragons and serpent-like beings were humanity's way of interpreting the world's mysteries. Fossils, with their extraordinary size and unfamiliar shapes, would have been a natural catalyst for such stories. Moreover, the universal association of these creatures with water, weather, and cosmic balance points to shared human concerns, such as survival and understanding the forces of nature. While each culture imbued these creatures with unique characteristics, the recurring themes of power, mystery, and reverence underscore their universal appeal. The shared existence of dragon-like legends demonstrates the remarkable ways in which humanity has sought to explain the unknown, drawing inspiration from both the earth beneath their feet and the skies above. Main heading 4. Dragons in Eastern and Western Traditions. Subheading 1. Characteristics of Eastern dragons. Eastern dragons, particularly those from Chinese, Japanese, and Korean traditions, are distinct from their Western counterparts in both appearance and symbolism. These dragons are often depicted as long, serpentine creatures with 4 legs, a flowing mane, and no wings. Unlike the fearsome, fire-breathing monsters of Western lore, Eastern dragons are revered as benevolent and wise beings that bring good fortune, control natural elements, and maintain harmony in the world. In Chinese mythology, dragons are deeply connected to water, governing rivers, lakes, and rain. They are often depicted swimming through clouds or rising from the sea, emphasizing their control over weather and the vital role they play in agriculture. This association with water made dragons symbols of life and prosperity in ancient China, where successful harvests depended heavily on rainfall. In this context, dragons were not creatures to be feared, but entities to be respected and honored through rituals and offerings. The physical attributes of Eastern dragons also carry symbolic meaning. Their long, sinuous bodies represent flexibility and adaptability, while their claws and horns signify power and authority. The dragon's appearance often incorporates features of other animals, such as the scales of a fish, the horns of a deer, or the talons of an eagle. This blending of traits symbolizes the harmony of different elements, a concept central to Eastern philosophy. Eastern dragons are also closely tied to imperial power. In China, the dragon was the emblem of the emperor, who was considered the son of heaven. The imperial throne was referred to as the dragon throne, and only the emperor was permitted to wear robes adorned with dragon motifs. This connection elevated the dragon to a divine status, making it a symbol of cosmic order and ultimate authority. In Japanese and Korean traditions, dragons share many of the same characteristics but often have unique local adaptations. Japanese dragons are frequently linked to Shinto beliefs, appearing as protectors of shrines and bringers of rain. Korean dragons, known as yang, are associated with knowledge and power, often depicted as kind and compassionate beings that aid humans in need. The role of Eastern dragons extends beyond mythology into cultural practices and celebrations. In Chinese New Year festivals, the dragon dance is performed to bring luck and drive away evil spirits, reflecting the dragon's protective nature. Similarly, dragon boat races, held during the Dragon Boat Festival, honor the creature's connection to water and unity. Eastern dragons embody harmony, wisdom, and strength, serving as a reminder of humanity's reliance on nature and the importance of living in balance with the world. Their enduring presence in art, literature, and traditions highlights their deep cultural significance and timeless appeal. Subheading 2. How Western dragons differ from their Eastern counterparts. Western dragons are vastly different from their Eastern counterparts, both in appearance and the roles they play in mythology. In Western traditions, dragons are often portrayed as fierce, destructive, and fire-breathing monsters. They are typically depicted with massive, winged bodies, sharp claws, and menacing teeth, embodying chaos and terror. Unlike the benevolent dragons of the East, Western dragons are more likely to be adversaries in heroic tales, representing challenges to be overcome. The origins of Western dragon myths can be traced back to ancient European and Middle Eastern cultures. In Greek mythology, dragons often guarded sacred objects or locations, such as the Colchian dragon that protected the Golden Fleece, or Ladon, the serpent-like dragon guarding the Garden of the Hesperides. These creatures were symbols of greed and danger, often portrayed as obstacles for heroes like Jason or Hercules to conquer. In medieval Europe, dragons took on an even more fearsome image. They were frequently associated with destruction, greed, and evil. Stories of knights slaying dragons, such as Saint George and the Dragon, became popular allegories of good triumphing over evil. Dragons in this era were often depicted as hoarding treasure, living in caves, and terrorizing villages, traits that reinforced their role as antagonists. Their fiery breath became a symbol of their destructive power, making them formidable foes in folklore and literature. The symbolism of Western dragons also extended to religious and moral contexts. In Christian traditions, dragons were sometimes associated with Satan or sin, representing the forces of chaos and temptation. This interpretation was often depicted in art and stories where saints or angels defeated dragons, emphasizing the victory of divine order over chaos. Another key difference between Eastern and Western dragons lies in their relationship with humans. While Eastern dragons are revered as wise and protective beings, Western dragons are often feared and hunted. This distinction reflects the contrasting cultural attitudes toward nature. In the East, dragons symbolize harmony and humanity's reliance on natural elements, whereas in the West, dragons represent humanity's struggle to tame and dominate nature. The physical appearance of Western dragons also contrasts with their Eastern counterparts. With their large wings, 4 legs, and often reptilian features, they are more closely linked to the imagery of prehistoric reptiles, like pterosaurs or large carnivorous dinosaurs. This association with predatory power reinforces their status as fearsome and untamable creatures. Despite their differences, Western dragons have left an indelible mark on modern culture, from medieval legends to contemporary fantasy stories like those in The Hobbit or Game of Thrones. The image of the Western dragon as a powerful, treasure-guarding beast remains deeply ingrained in popular imagination. Western dragons serve as symbols of power, danger, and the challenges that heroes must face. They stand in stark contrast to the harmony and wisdom embodied by Eastern dragons, reflecting the rich diversity of human mythology and the ways in which different cultures perceive the mysteries of the world. Subheading 3. The cultural roots of these diverging images. The contrasting depictions of dragons in Eastern and Western cultures can be traced back to their distinct historical and environmental contexts. These differences in mythology reveal how cultural values, geography, and human experiences shaped the way dragons were imagined and interpreted. In the East, the dragon's image as a benevolent and harmonious force aligns with the philosophical principles of balance and unity, central to Chinese, Japanese, and Korean thought. Concepts such as yin and yang emphasize harmony between opposites, a theme reflected in the dragon's association with nature's cycles, such as rain and fertility. Living in an agrarian society, ancient Eastern peoples relied heavily on the rhythms of the natural world for survival. By portraying dragons as protectors and bringers of life, they symbolized humanity's partnership with nature. On the other hand, Western dragons emerged in a cultural context shaped by conflict and conquest. In Europe, the landscapes of dense forests and rugged mountains inspired legends of hidden monsters, including dragons. These tales often mirrored humanity's struggle to tame the wild, portraying dragons as embodiments of chaos and danger. The theme of a hero defeating a dragon became a metaphor for overcoming obstacles, both natural and moral. Religious influences also played a significant role in shaping these diverging images. In Eastern religions such as Taoism and Buddhism, dragons were often seen as spiritual guides or divine beings. Their wisdom and ability to traverse between realms, sky, earth, and water, made them powerful symbols of cosmic order. In contrast, Western Christianity frequently depicted dragons as manifestations of evil, linked to Satan and sin. Stories of saints slaying dragons, such as Saint Michael and Saint George, reinforced this association and elevated the dragon-slaying hero as a champion of good. Trade and interaction between cultures may have also contributed to these differing perceptions. For instance, Chinese silk adorned with dragon motifs made its way to Europe via the Silk Road, introducing Eastern dragon symbolism to Western audiences. However, without the cultural context, these dragons were often misinterpreted as fearsome monsters rather than benevolent figures. Similarly, fossils discovered in different regions might have inspired localized interpretations of dragons, further reinforcing the creature's varied depictions. The environmental and philosophical foundations of these myths continue to influence their cultural significance today. In Eastern societies, dragons remain symbols of national pride, wisdom, and strength. In the West, they embody the thrill of adventure and the eternal battle between good and evil. Both traditions highlight humanity's enduring fascination with these mythical creatures and their ability to reflect the values and challenges of the societies that created them. Ultimately, The divergent images of dragons underscore the rich diversity of human mythology. Whether as wise protectors or formidable foes, dragons symbolize the complex relationship between humanity and the forces of nature, inspiring awe and wonder across cultures and generations. Main heading 5. From Myth to Science and Beyond. Subheading 1. Bridging Science and Mythology in Modern Research. The study of dragons has evolved significantly with the advent of modern science, providing new insights into the origins of these legendary creatures. Fossil discoveries and advances in paleontology have bridged the gap between myth and reality, offering compelling explanations for how ancient people might have interpreted the natural world. Far from dismissing mythology as mere fantasy, researchers now view it as a valuable lens through which to explore humanity's relationship with nature and the unknown. One of the most influential theories in modern research is the idea that dinosaur fossils served as the inspiration for dragon myths. Large bones and skulls unearthed in regions like China, Greece, and Central Asia were often misidentified by early cultures as evidence of mythical creatures. For example, the massive femurs and teeth of theropods, or the elongated neck vertebrae of sauropods, could easily resemble the features of dragons described in legends. This theory not only explains the physical characteristics of dragons, but also their association with power and mystery. In China, paleontologists have uncovered fossils of dinosaurs such as the Mamenchisaurus, a long-necked herbivore whose skeletal structure closely aligns with the serpentine forms depicted in Chinese dragon art. The proximity of these fossil-rich regions to areas where dragon myths are most prominent suggests a direct connection between the two. Similarly, in Central Asia, fossils of the Protoceratops are believed to have inspired the griffin, another mythical creature with dragon-like qualities. Modern researchers also explore the psychological and cultural factors that shaped dragon myths. Humans have always sought to make sense of their surroundings, particularly when faced with phenomena that seemed inexplicable. Dragons, with their imposing size and supernatural abilities, offered a way to personify the powerful forces of nature. By connecting these forces to mythical creatures, ancient societies could create narratives that explained and managed their fears, hopes, and desires. Another fascinating aspect of modern research is the use of comparative mythology to uncover shared themes across cultures. By examining dragon-like creatures in different societies, researchers have identified commonalities that point to universal human experiences. For instance, dragons often appear as guardians of treasure or sacred spaces, representing humanity's desire to protect and control valuable resources. They are also frequently linked to water and weather, reflecting the vital role of these elements in sustaining life. Despite the scientific explanations, the allure of dragon myths endures. In fact, the intersection of science and mythology has only deepened our appreciation for these creatures. By studying the fossils and cultural contexts that inspired dragon legends, researchers not only uncover new truths about the past, but also highlight the power of imagination in shaping our understanding of the world. Dragons continue to captivate both scientists and storytellers, serving as a testament to humanity's creativity and curiosity. They remind us that myths are not just relics of the past, but living traditions that connect us to the mysteries of nature and the boundless potential of discovery. Subheading 2. The enduring symbolism of dragons in contemporary culture. Dragons have transcended their mythological origins to become enduring symbols in contemporary culture. From national emblems to popular entertainment, these mythical creatures continue to capture the imagination of people worldwide. Their evolving significance reflects humanity's deep connection to their symbolism, which has adapted to fit modern narratives while retaining its roots in ancient myths. In China, dragons remain a powerful cultural icon, symbolizing strength, wisdom, and prosperity. The dragon is often used to represent the Chinese nation itself, earning the nickname the Dragon of the East. This association extends to global events, such as the Beijing Olympics, where dragon imagery prominently showcased China's cultural heritage. Dragons also appear in celebrations like the Lunar New Year, where dragon dances are performed to bring good luck and ward off evil spirits. These practices highlight the enduring role of dragons as protectors and symbols of unity. In the West, dragons have taken on a different, but equally prominent role in modern storytelling. They are central to countless works of fantasy literature, films, and video games, often depicted as majestic, powerful, and sometimes misunderstood creatures. Iconic examples include Smaug from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, the dragons of George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, and the friendly Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. These stories have expanded the dragon's role beyond that of a mere antagonist, exploring their complexity and their connection to humanity's struggles and aspirations. Dragons are also a popular motif in branding and design, representing qualities such as strength, courage, and innovation. Companies, sports teams, and organizations frequently use dragon imagery to convey power and dynamism. For example, the Welsh dragon on the national flag symbolizes the resilience and identity of Wales, while dragon-themed logos are commonly used in martial arts schools to signify discipline and skill. In addition to their cultural and commercial significance, dragons have become a focus for academic and artistic exploration. Scholars study dragon myths to uncover insights into ancient civilizations, while artists and writers reinterpret these creatures to address contemporary themes such as environmentalism, technological advancement, and social justice. The dragon's ability to bridge past and present makes it a versatile symbol for exploring humanity's evolving relationship with the world. The enduring appeal of dragons lies in their versatility and universality. They can embody opposing qualities: creation and destruction, wisdom and ferocity, harmony and chaos, allowing them to resonate with diverse audiences and contexts. Whether celebrated as benevolent protectors in the East, or portrayed as powerful adversaries in the West, dragons remain a source of inspiration and wonder. As we continue to encounter dragons in stories, art, and everyday life, they remind us of the enduring power of mythology. These legendary creatures connect us to our shared past, inspire creativity in the present, and encourage us to imagine a world filled with endless possibilities. Subheading 3. What future discoveries could unveil about dragon legends? The story of dragons is far from over. With advances in science and technology, new discoveries have the potential to shed even more light on the origins and evolution of dragon legends. From unearthing ancient fossils to uncovering forgotten texts, the future holds exciting possibilities for expanding our understanding of these mythical creatures and their enduring impact on human culture. One area of potential discovery lies in paleontology. As fossil excavation techniques improve, scientists may uncover more complete skeletons of prehistoric creatures, providing further insight into how ancient people interpreted these remains. Fossils of previously unknown species could offer new clues about why certain regions developed specific dragon myths. For example, if a dinosaur with unique physical traits is discovered, it might explain regional variations in dragon depictions, such as their horns, claws, or serpentine bodies. Another promising avenue is the exploration of ancient manuscripts and artworks. Many myths and legends were passed down orally or depicted in visual art before being recorded in written form. Advanced imaging techniques, such as multispectral scanning, allow researchers to study faded texts and paintings that might contain early references to dragons. These discoveries could reveal previously unknown aspects of how dragons were perceived and integrated into religious, political, or social contexts. The field of comparative mythology also offers opportunities for future breakthroughs. By analyzing similarities and differences in dragon-like creatures across cultures, researchers can uncover universal patterns in human storytelling. This might deepen our understanding of how ancient civilizations shared ideas through trade, conquest, or migration, and how these exchanges shape the myths we know today. Even modern technology, such as AI and virtual reality, could play a role in bringing dragon legends to life. AI models trained on ancient texts and data from paleontology might generate new theories about the connections between fossils and myths. Meanwhile, virtual reality could recreate environments where ancient people first encountered dragon bones, allowing us to experience their world and understand the awe and wonder these discoveries inspired. Beyond science, the dragon's future is also tied to its symbolic significance. As humanity faces global challenges like climate change and resource scarcity, dragons may continue to serve as powerful metaphors. Their dual nature, both destructive and life-giving, can inspire reflections on our relationship with the environment and the balance we must maintain to survive. Ultimately, the enduring mystery of dragons reminds us of the limitless potential of human curiosity and imagination. Future discoveries will not only deepen our understanding of the past, but also ensure that these legendary creatures remain a vibrant part of our collective cultural heritage. Whether through fossils, myths, or new technologies, the dragon's legacy will continue to evolve, sparking awe and wonder for generations to come. If you found this video helpful or interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.